Hi everyone. So I get so many requests on a daily basis about how I do my brows. Now I've done a few videos about how to kind of get the brow shape and all that kind of thing, but this video I think is more about how to get the look of brow that will work the best for you. Now I'm just gonna put it out there and say it. I am a big fan of the thicker brow. I know a lot of people aren't, but I really prefer a thicker brow, and I have been guilty of, when I was younger, attacking my brows with tweezers and ending up with a tab hole brow, but I really don't like that look anymore. I don't like thin brows. I think thick natural brows are just the loveliest way to have them, and I think it's kind of quite easy to maintain as well. I don't let anybody touch my brows apart from me, and I am quite good with brows. I do probably 90% of my friends' brows, and the ones I don't do are only because they don't let anyone touch their brows, or they're not bothered about it. But I pluck everyone's eyebrows that I know. I'm kind of responsible for all my Facebook friends. If I look at pictures of most of the younger girls on my Facebook page, so like my sister's age, for example, 13, 14 and that kind of thing, and I've done most of their brows and they've all got really lovely brows. So I really believe, like I said, in having a great structure to the brow. I do think that brows are kind of the unsung heroes of the face. Like your eyes are the ones that get all the attention, but your brows will really frame your face and just really make everything look perfect. And I'm just going to talk you through my brow routine. I am going to zoom in a little bit as well, just to show you what my brows kind of look like closed up. And at the same time, I'm going to just show you how I like to do my brows. So if you can see, you need to remember that not everyone's brows are the same. Not everyone's brows are completely identical. Your brows are sisters, not twins. If you've ever heard that expression before, it is very true. And I really believe in trying to kind of get the best shape for your face. So if you've got a very round face, a kind of arched shape would work really well for you. If you've got a kind of squarer face, then a softer, rounder shape would work for you. But I tend to prefer the kind of arched shape anyway. So I'm just going to kind of talk you through how I like to do mine. So what I do with my brows is I tend to kind of just look at the shape of them. And I was going to do a kind of full tutorial on how I wax and pluck my brows, but the problem with that is I never do it all in one go. I kind of do maintaining my brows a couple of times a week, so there's never anything that you can really see. But if you can see, for example, I like my arch to go quite high. I like to keep it all sort of a similar width. Even on this brow that's a tiny kind of little bit lower, you can see I like to keep it a very similar width all the way around. And I really believe in tweezing. I think tweezing is the best way to get a really great shape. So what I do is I just tweeze all the hairs under here, and then I will wax the middle part, not because I've got a mono brow, I think it's called, just really because you get those kind of tiny little hairs and I like it to all look really clean and fresh. And then I will also wax a tiny bit just on the upper side here. Now never ever touch any of your top brow along this part, because that's a really big recipe for disaster. What you want to do is just, if you've got any stray fluffy hairs, just wax them along the top, not touching the actual brow. I'm not talking brow hair, I'm talking just the kind of little ones that you get along here. So that's what I do with those. And as for kind of giving my shape structure and lift and shape and all that, then I've got a couple of things here that I like to do that I'm just going to kind of talk you through. So first, what I always do is I always brush my brows up. I'm just using a little brow spoolie for this. This is by Blush Professional brushes, and it just helps you kind of brush them into shape. Now I do really like to kind of highlight the underbrow area. Now you could do this with a few different products really. I tend to use either something creamy, like for example the No. 7 Stay Perfect Eye Base. I tend to use something like that, or a little bit of concealer, and if I really want to highlight, then I'll use Benefit's eye bright, because I find creamier consistencies just look more natural. You can do it with a powder formula, but I wouldn't recommend doing that on an everyday basis. I think it looks more natural if you do it with a cream product. So, for example, if I was going to do it with the number 7 eye brightening base, I'd just take a little bit on my finger, and just along the part right here before the arch, this is the part where you get quite a bit of redness. So I like to just kind of rub that in along that area just to get rid of any redness. And you can instantly see it does create a real lift to the brow. So I also would do that sometimes with a concealer. This is the Collection 2000 Lasting Perfection Concealer. But you want to be careful with how much you use with concealer. So like I showed you right on that eye, just a small amount. You don't need a brush to do this with either. And then just to help kind of conceal any redness, any hairs you might have among the area, like tiny little ones. I haven't, because I did my brows yesterday. But when you have, this is a great trick, and it just creates a really beautiful polished look. Now, if you did want to add a little bit of a kind of highlighting colour, you could use something like this. This is the number 7 eyeshadow in the colour Innocence, number 70 Innocence, and it's just a kind of matte white shade. And just get a little bit on a fluffy brush and just run it over. I really don't like shimmery brow highlights. I know a lot of people do, but I really prefer a matte one. So that's the kind of great way to highlight your brows, and you can really see how much lift that gives you. It's really amazing for creating kind of more defined face. And then I will always fill my brows in. So the trick for filling your brows in, I don't like to work with pencils. I prefer powder formulas. I think they're softer, they look more natural, they look more flattering, and I just think that it's a far nicer way of doing it. If you do like to work with a pencil, then by all means go for that, but I prefer working with powder. Now, if you've got darker brows like mine, it might be quite tempting to go for a really dark colour or even a black, but don't, because the oils on your skin, and especially in the brow area, will darken the colour, and it will just make you look like you've got really harsh brows. So if you're a blonde, go for kind of like a mid-taupey colour, and obviously you need to bear in mind your undertones. If you've got quite cool undertones, go for like a grey colour. But the colour that I use loads is this one by Benefit. It's from their Princess kit. It hasn't got a name, it's just their contour colour, but it's a matte brown shade. You can get these kind of pretty much anywhere, but it's a dark brown, a matte brown, and I use it on a little angled brush. So I'll just get any excess off the sides of the brush, and then just starting from the middle, I'll start to gently fill the brow in kind of long sweeping strokes. And you want to make sure you've got very little on your brush once you get to the outer corner, like the outer edge part, the bottom part, because that's when it can start to look a little bit fake. So I like to just work it through, really just create a lovely perfect brow, and then I like to just brush it upwards, and I'll apply a little bit of clear mascara, but I'll just do the other one as well just to show you. So like I said, just working from the middle part outwards. And if your brows aren't exactly the similar shape, try and kind of match them. So for example, if you can see with this brow, it goes wider out. So I try and kind of stretch this brow wider out as well. Like so. And then again, I'll brush it out. I don't tend to do this around the front of the brow because I just find it looks a little bit unnatural. And then I'll just use a little bit of clear mascara. You can use a brow setting gel, but clear mascara works perfectly and is a lot cheaper. So there we go. That is how to achieve perfect looking brows. Obviously, you know, my brows might not be to everybody's taste, but they are to mine, obviously. And you need to kind of really look at the shape of your face and try and play around with different shapes, different looks, see what works the best for you, and then you will be able to kind of maintain it. And like I said, I don't leave my brows for ages to kind of grow really thick hair, and then I do them. I'll do it kind of a couple of times a week, just get out any strays, clean them up a little bit, because I just feel like it looks so much nicer. So I hope you found this helpful. If you've got any questions or anything like that, then as always, pop them in the comments below, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.